High above the village of Karimabad, overlooking the Hunza Valley, stands one of the most iconic structures in northern Pakistan, Baltit Fort. Perched on a rocky outcrop, it has watched over this valley for centuries. From here, the view stretches across terraced fields, stone houses, and the towering peaks of the Karakoram. But Baltit Fort is more than a scenic viewpoint. It is a place where history, geography, and culture come together. Some parts of the fort date back over 700 years. Its architectural style reflects strong influences from Tibet, a reminder of the historical connections between Hunza and the regions to the north. For centuries, this was the seat of power for the rulers of Hunza, known as the Mirs. From this elevated position, they controlled the valley and monitored movement along the ancient trade routes that passed through this region of the Silk Road. The fort was not just a residence, it was also a defensive structure. Thick stone walls, narrow passageways, and small windows were all designed with protection in mind. In times of conflict, its position made it nearly impossible to attack. Life inside the fort was organized and hierarchical. The upper levels were reserved for the ruling family, while lower sections housed servants, guards, and storage areas. There were no modern comforts. Winters were harsh, heating was minimal, and yet for generations, this was the center of political and social life in Hunza. When I first came here in 1986, the fort was still standing, but in a very different condition. At that time, I climbed up onto the roof. From there, I looked out over the same valley you see today. But everything felt quieter, more isolated, less connected to the outside world. There were no crowds, no restoration, just the structure itself, weathered by time. Since then, Baltit Fort has undergone extensive restoration. With support from organizations like the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, the fort was carefully preserved and eventually opened to the public as a museum. Today it stands not only as a historical monument, but as a symbol of cultural identity and heritage in the region. Walking through it now, you can see the contrast. The wooden beams, the carved details, the reconstructed rooms, each space offers a glimpse into how life was lived here centuries ago. And yet the essence of the place has not changed. Step outside onto the roof and the view is still the same. The valley below, the mountains rising beyond, the sense of space and scale that defines this region. Standing here again, decades later, I am struck by the continuity. So much has changed in the world, and even here in Hunza, there are more roads, more visitors, more connections. But this view, this perspective, remains. Baltit Fort is not just a building, it is a vantage point into the past, a reminder of how people lived, ruled, and adapted in one of the most dramatic landscapes on earth. And for me, it is also something more personal, a place where two journeys meet, the one I made in 1986 and the one I am making now, separated by decades, but connected by this same view. And standing here now, I begin to notice not just the view, but the changes that have taken place in the valley. In 1986, Hunza was extremely remote, access was limited, and the Karakoram Highway had only recently been completed, making travel here difficult and time-consuming. Today, that same Karakoram Highway has become a major route, linking Pakistan with China and bringing increased movement, trade, and tourism into the region. At the same time, efforts have been made to preserve what remains of Hunza's cultural heritage. Baltit Fort itself was restored in the 1990s through a major conservation project led by the Aga Khan Trust for Culture. Rather than being left to decay, it was carefully rebuilt using traditional materials and techniques, and later opened as a museum. It now stands as one of the best preserved historical structures in northern Pakistan. Below, the structure of the valley remains much as it has for centuries. Agriculture still depends on glacial meltwater, distributed through a network of hand-built irrigation channels.